Today, we begin a conversation with Bill and Linda Himes. Now look, when we were younger, we knew both Bill Himes and Linda Bandy, but we knew them separately and would never have imagined the possibility of that phrase, Bill and Linda Himes. I mean, how'd that happen? Everyone knows and admires Bill Himes, the Salvation Army's current chief musician. But who is Linda? Looking for answers? Looking for insights? Well, you've come to the right place. We knew Linda Bandy to be intelligent, grounded, finding purpose in her faith through the Salvation Army, fun-loving, positive, lacking malice, never inviting a whisper of gossip. That's Linda Bandy. And Linda Himes? No big changes, really, though she now possesses a Lily Tomlin-like sense of irony. I mean, what on earth does Linda have to do with music? On the other hand, what on earth does Bill have to do with the sunrise? But here they are, perhaps surprisingly, perhaps even inevitably, Bill and Linda Himes. And they are joining us in conversation.
Hey, Linda's here.
Oh, yeah.
Hey. Oh, hi, guys. I am
And
here.
I have known Linda longer than anybody at this table.
This is true.
True.
Quite a bit longer,
That
probably.
is true.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you remember when
I
you first
remember
encountered the McMahon family?
Your dad was my teacher in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been sophomore in high school, maybe?
Sophomore?
Was that like bookkeeping?
Bookkeeping, yes, bookkeeping. And here's the thing, because he promised me, there were two bookkeeping teachers, your dad and Mr. Griswold, Rex Griswold. And your dad promised me if I signed up for bookkeeping that I would be in his class. And lo and behold, I was not. I ended up in Rex Griswold's class. Bookkeeping with Rex Griswold was not fun, because he was like a typical, I don't want to say typical accountant, but typical accountant.
Boring?
Just boring.
Yeah.
Yes, boring.
Sorry, not to stereotype.
Not the stereotype, but boring. And so I was really angry at your dad.
Did you ever have him in as a teacher?
I did not.
You worked with him in the bookstore, right? Or
In the bookstore?
the Trenton High School? Didn't they have a bookstore or something?
We made up
Dad
stories
was-
about you, so just go with it. will
Okay,
you?
okay.
Well, no.
The
Yeah,
bookstore. It was my favorite place. Yeah. The bookstore. I don't recall the bookstore.
So you never had him as
no,
for a teacher?
No, actually I did, because I was his assistant. So I had him for
Can
bookkeeping 1, and he convinced me to sign up for bookkeeping 2.
Okay.
And so I had him for bookkeeping
didn't
1
have
the
that.
first year, and I was his assistant.
Okay.
Right.
Well, he ran the school bookstore, or the
Okay.
where they sold equipment, things that people use in school, evidently.
School supplies.
Yeah. And I thought you worked in there
Evidently.
with him, but you didn't.
Maybe I did. No, I worked with him a lot. I don't recall the bookstore, actually.
But you were an assistant. What was that?
I was his assistant, so that would be in class, and I would grade papers for him
Okay.
and go to the bookstore and get supplies for him.
Okay.
Yes.
How did he talk you into babysitting for us?
Well,
Because, yeah.
because
Spoiler alert, Linda was my
Spoiler-
babysitter.
spoiler alert, yes, I was Rob's babysitter, and I remember Rick was probably 3. So how old would you
I would
be?
have been about 7 or 8.
Okay,
7.
and Sandy.
Yeah. Would have been 6.
6, right. So he asked me to babysit, and they were going to church. And I had no idea that meant the Salvation Army. So I go to the house, and your mom and your dad come down in their full uniforms, and I'm like, what?
What cult are you part of?
Exactly.
Gestapo,
What?
yeah.
What? Is this the Gestapo? What's happening here? So they go off, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what? I'm gonna get these 3 little kids, But we did some fun things,
did.
and I do remember lipstick, drawing on faces with lipstick. And I do remember, Rob, that when you were older, I was still babysitting, dropping him off at school, and they're like, oh yeah, that's my babysitter, But
He was
then
at
I remember,
university then, so it's kind of a tell.
He still needed a ride, though.
I like to tell her now.
But then when he was able to drive, he drives to school. he comes home from school on the bus.
Oh, come on! You're not invited here to tell those kind of stories.
Well, I'm just
It's
telling
a
the
great
truth.
story.
Right. So he comes home on the bus, and I'm like, Rob, where's the car? Oh, he drove to school and rode the bus home and left the car. Right.
That was. So I walked back to school and got the car.
Right. Right.
Anyway. Okay, tell me, after you graduated,
Yeah.
what did you do?
I worked at the Eventide Home, Salvation Army Eventide Home in Detroit, that was run by your grandfather and your grandmother. And
This is before you were going to the Army, right?
This was before I was going to the Army, right? Yeah. So it was just because of the connection with your dad and your grandpa. And then I was introduced to some other Salvation Army officers who invited me to come to the Corps, Detroit Citadel. It was
So that was the connection actually to the Corps was
right,
through Eventide.
was through Eventide, right.
So my mom and dad didn't
Grandpa.
scare you away.
No, the uniform did not scare me away, but then I was connected to that, so then I started going to Detroit Citadel, downtown.
Okay, hate to interrupt, but we're using phrases and abbreviations that might be unfamiliar to you. No, we're not speaking in tongues, but we slipped into some insider language. So here's a brief lexicon of Salvation Army speak. The Salvation Army is a Protestant evangelical church that adopted 19th century military structure and nomenclature. Pastors are officers. Lay leaders are soldiers. As such, they wear uniforms to church. A church is known as a corps. A group of corps is a division. A group of divisions is a territory. That's the structure. Jan, Rob, Linda, and I went to the Detroit Citadel Corps, so you'll hear about the Corps or the Citadel. That just means our church in Detroit. It was part of the Eastern Michigan Division, which is part of the Central Territory. That division and that territory were very important to us because of all the events they organized, especially for young people, such as summer camps. If we're not saying Detroit Citadel, then we're going to say 601, which was the address. Then in the early 70s, we moved to Dearborn Heights, so you'll hear that city mentioned as well. Meanwhile, Bill, as a child, moved around because his parents were clergy, that is, officers, and were appointed here and there. You'll hear Bill mention Royal Oak and Port Huron. We also mentioned the programs the Salvation Army Church has for young people, music programs, a leadership training program called Corps Cadets, a fellowship group called Torchbearers, and the Salvation Army's version of Girl Scouts called Girl Guards for older girls or Sunbeams for younger girls. I think I've covered them all. Hope that helps. Oh, and we are recording this at Jan and Rob's dining table, so Sky, their black lab retriever, joins in now and then. Okay, that's it. Back to the conversation.
Did you have a church home before that? Before the
I
Army?
did not.
Okay, so the Army was your first exposure to going to church
I mean,
somewhere?
when I was younger, I had gone to church a couple times with neighbors, but I really did not have. I was enjoying my life as a heathen.
Well, yeah.
Before then, right. Yeah. But it was your dad who really was the one who introduced me to the Salvation Army. And then through working with your grandfather, it just really became connected. Yeah.
And so you were at the Army from then on?
Yes,
pretty
right,
much,
from then on. From then until this very moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And still are.
And I still am.
And then when did you start working for the Michigan Education Association?
I worked for the Army for like 7 years, and then your dad got me a job at the MEA, the Michigan Education Association. And so I worked there, and then he became president. And so then I went to Lansing to work for him there as his secretary. And then I started going to Michigan State football games and cheering for Michigan. Yeah.
You are a brave soul.
I don't understand that at all. But
Yeah.
I understand that totally. I was just
Best
thinking
copy.
about how important you both have been in our lives. I mean, it's really pretty amazing that are you surprised, Bill?
I'm shocked.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This is my shocked voice
Yeah.
for those listening.
Well, I remember we came to your recital.
oh, yes,
Your
at Michigan. Yeah,
because that's what my dad would do. He would have Linda was just formidable to our growing up in the Corps.
absolutely.
A leader, fun. That was the key
Thank you
word
for putting
right
that
there.
in there. Thank you.
Well,
Yes.
You
That
were
was,
our-
I think, what made you a good leader.
Yeah.
You were fun, and we didn't think about it as an authority figure.
She
No
was
offense,
she
but-
was our Torchbearer Guardian.
Right.
That was her official title.
Right,
Torchbearer
Torchbearer
Guardian.
Guardian.
What did that involve, Linda?
Well, that involved, of course, planning all these fun events
Yeah.
and going on trips and answering the question, how much longer?
And do we really have to go to the
Do we
salvation
have
meeting
to?
when we get back?
Right,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Oh, yes, those were the awful days, right.
Canoe trips.
Canoe trips,
and
yeah, and
camping trips.
Winter camping trips.
And
at camp-
video production. if
Video
you'll recall,
productions,
Oh,
yes.
yes.
which was
Yes,
entertaining.
right.
My Uncle Tom just
Right.
just viewed Root the Toot for the first time.
Toot.
For the first time. I don't know how he got it. I honestly don't. Somebody
don't
gave it to
know.
him.
This is
Has
so
Bill
great
seen
because
that?
I'm remembering how much fun my life was.
Part of her
was that
life
right?
that remains quite a
Right.
mystery.
Well,
So-
and the quality of the film is poor.
Oh, very poor.
So
Yeah.
it requires some narration. But I thought we were really,
Done.
there's a toilet flushing,
We were
there's a lot
cutting
going on.
edge.
That's, oh,
We were
yeah.
cutting
Cutting
edge.
edge, yeah.
Cutting edge,
right.
right.
So the toilet flushing, that
good.
classify as special effects?
That was special
There's-
effects. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Torchbearers was a blast.
It was. It
And-
really was.
And
Yeah.
you were a really, really important part of that.
Thank
Not
you.
to get too serious,
Thank
but
you.
that's really true, Linda.
I
you
mean-
think about all the things we did together. You coming to Florida, befriending Lois, which she
Well,
needed a good friend.
Right.
So all of that, and I just love the history of how you came to the Army through the McMahons.
Right.
It's
Right.
yeah, Dave.
He wasn't, he never really pushed or anything, did he?
No. No.
Did he invite
just
you?
invited me. He
Did he?
invited me
Okay. All right.
to come. Invited me to come.
Yeah.
And I did, and just kind of a natural process of it all, but it was started with that invitation, from him to just come. And that was started with the relationship at school, with me being his assistant. And also I worked for him at the wrestling tournaments.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Right.
the wrestling
The
tournament.
wrestling tournaments.
Those were awesome.
That was fun, right. So it's developing the relationship first, then the invite, then salvation.
Check my memory on this. I think I remember a service where you were at the altar. And for me, it's 6:01 in an evening service. Do you remember anything like that, or have I created this?
Right. It was at 6:01. Yeah.
So do you know if it was an evening service?
It was an evening service.
Okay.
Right.
I have this picture, but sometimes you create pictures based on
No, you're
things
right.
you've heard.
You're right.
Okay.
Because I don't ever remember you being at the altar, so there you go.
Okay. Well, I have been a few times.
But the work you did with us, Linda, I mean, you've continued that with like Girl Guards, right?
Right. Right.
what is
So-
To this day.
Yes. Right.
To this day.
Before I go to that, I want to just backtrack a little bit because of the whole thing with Torchbearers. The whole thing of all those years, it's like the value of it, I think, was providing a place for kids to be together at church.
Yep.
On a regular basis, to just kind of hold them there so they could hear the gospel and grow. And now when I travel around and I see them everywhere, I see them when I moved from Detroit to Chicago. Everybody, all of these, Alan Stewart and all these other kids who grew up in that Torchbearer group, are now serving in other places. And then I come down here to Florida, and there you guys are. So it's just to see that how that little nucleus kind of it holds them, and then they go out and they serve in other places, which is what we try to do. Yeah. And so as a leader, it's so rewarding to see them grow and become leaders. Of course, there are some who don't, some that we lose in the process, but you just invest in the moment when you can, and then God is the one who produces the fruit in that. So yes, I still am involved in youth work. At my core now, I'm the Girl Guard leader, which I have been there for like 20 years. And before that, I was a Sunbeam leader at Dearborn Heights for 13 years, teaching the beginner's badge. I know it by heart. So now, when I moved to Chicago, I just was looking for a place to serve in the youth work because that was where I normally did. And so Girl Guards, I came in, there was 2 leaders, and I came in and said, I'll be the third set of hands. Within a month, the first leader dropped out, and then I was the assistant leader. And then the leader was an officer, so then she got moved, so now I'm the leader. and just have been. When I go back home, I have 8 girls I'm working with who will receive their General's Guard Award, which is the highest award that they can receive. So I have to prepare them for that. Once they pass that, then we go to Colorado for a week, and we go whitewater rafting and zip lining and horseback riding and hiking and shopping. And
This is not the first group you've taken.
no, this will be about 39 or 40 girls over those 20 years that made that trip. It's fun when I'm out there and posting pictures every day. Girls from the previous groups will always make remarks about what we're doing, and they know what they did. It's something that they work for, 3 years it takes them to earn that right to do that.
This year, Wendy goes.
This year, Wendy goes. So
And this is your farewell,
granddaughter,
right?
yes.
Okay.
And so when she's finished, I'm getting her through the program, and then when she's done, then I'm done. So this will be my last year.
It's perfect,
But
really.
it is really, because I will be old this year. The reality is you can't be in youth work for the rest of your life, because I can't get off a horse anymore. You know, it's just hard to get off the horse, you know, a real horse, a real horse.
Harder to get on.
It's
probably.
harder, you know. Well, it's just last time I thought, I don't know if I can do this again, but I'm going to do it again this year, and then I'm done. But to have her be the final group that I'm working with will be very rewarding. Yeah. So there's 8 of them, Wendy's included. Then I have already handed over the leadership to another girl who came through the program. She's a General's Guard. She's a Catherine Booth. And she is now taking over the program, which is what you want to see happen.
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
Reproduce, yeah.
So it's going to be in good hands, and I will have finished a very worthwhile job.
The thing that we all had growing up, the core was where we wanted to be.
Yeah.
And those were the friendships that were most important in our lives.
Right.
And I had friends at school. I still am friends with people that I was to school with. But my core, CORE group, was the kids at the core. And that's why I can say that both of you are influential in that, because the group we also had in Eastern Michigan, to me, I thought every place was like that. Yeah. That every place had the musicians and the level of talent that we had in Eastern Michigan. Yeah. And it grounded all of us in who we are today, those times together.
True.
And we're still friends with the same people that we, grew up with,
Yeah.
whether they're in the Army or not. And some are and some aren't.
Right.
But we've maintained those connections, and we have that common heritage.
That's why I like
Yeah.
Dee being a music educator. I'm always pushing that on kids, because music is a great team sport. And I said, you can daydream for 5 minutes in math and nobody ever is the wiser, but you daydream for 3 seconds in music, everyone knows, because you're messing it up, And also it teaches you to concentrate for a long period of time, long being 20 minutes, because again, any other task, you can leave it. And it's a team sport. So it's like everyone's doing it together. And when my granddaughter was talking about whether she was going to continue playing band in school and stuff like that when she went to junior high, I said, well, the thing I remember is I can remember all the kids I was in band with. I can't remember anyone I was in math class with, because it comes and goes. But these guys you're with the whole time, and it just becomes, again, a core kind of experience for you.
Yeah. And with all the youth programs with the Army, of course, we will talk about, Bill Himes is here, we might be talking about music some. But also, we're talking about Girl Guards, which is kind of an Army's model of Girl Scouts sort of
Right.
stuff. But
Right.
the badges they earn have something to do with being in the Salvation Army.
Right.
And then we had the Torchbearers, that was more of a social thing.
Youth
Fellowship,
group,
yeah.
right.
And then Bill was talking about the Corps Cadet group at Port Huron. Corps Cadets was a big part. But you were never a Corps Cadet, were you?
I was never a Corps Cadet, but I was the Divisional Corps Cadet leader. So I ran the program. And then I taught Corps Cadets at Dearborn Heights, and I taught Corps Cadets at Oak Brook.
And that's more of the Bible doctrine study. Here's what the Salvation Army is. Here's what we believe.
Right.
And here's the book
Right.
that we use. Then in 85, I see you in Macomb, Illinois at the International Youth Congress. And you're very involved in something called Precept
Ministries.
Ministries.
Yeah.
Which is a
Which
Bible
is
study?
a Bible study. It is an organization that produces Bible studies and trains people how to lead Bible studies and how to actually do inductive Bible study.
Trains people like you.
Like me, right. I went to work for them for 2 years and was trained in how to be a trainer. So I'm a trainer for them, and I train other leaders, and I teach people how to study. And I've been doing that for 30-some years.
You lived in Kentucky for a time.
It was Tennessee, actually.
Tennessee?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're
right.
like one.
I
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, for those 2 years, I lived at their headquarters in Tennessee.
Is this Kay Arthur?
This was Kay Arthur.
Okay.
Right. She's the founder.
That sort of brings up, though, Linda's sense of conviction to things, because she was just like working for the MEA and Lansing and stuff like that. And a Winning Women conference comes into town. One of the guest speakers is Kay Arthur. Mm-hmm. And so after she spoke, Linda went up to her and just said, I feel like I should be knowing more about this. And I'd like to really, I'm not putting it in your words, but Kay Arthur, who has had, she's gone to glory now, but had great discernment, but she looked at her and says, you should come down and see us. And so she did, and she went down. And they hired her in just some menial task. I think you were sending fulfillment of radio broadcasts back when it was.
Right. They just started a radio program, and so I was working in the radio department.
But while
Right.
she was there, she took their
Right.
classes.
They trained me while I was working there for those 2 years.
That's amazing.
It
I
is.
didn't ever know the story
Yes.
about Winning Women. I didn't know that's how you got connected.
Winning Women was the first time I ever saw her and heard her teach, and when I did, I was just like so taken.
A door opened.
Right, right. It's like I just wanted to be able to do that, and just my hunger for the word just right in that moment, just exploded.
So if I were to see it, what would I see? How would I recognize it as something that's part of Precept Ministries rather than just there's a Bible study going on?
Like, what's the approach of the study?
What's the approach of the study? It's a method of what to look for when you're studying. What are the certain things that you're going to look for when you sit down and look at a passage? Like, who are the people? That's the first thing. You look for places, and you look for events, and you look for words like therefore, and you look for words like
Repetition.
however, or a
Connect the
contrast.
words. Yeah, okay.
We're not looking for theology. It's so simple. We're just looking for, look for the word but. And when you see it, you say, is this a contrast? It's not this, but this. And so then you see the theology. But I'm just training people very simply how to really dig in to the word.
And Precept publishes numerous hundreds of study guides
Right.
on various books of the Bible.
Right. So
And,
I've been teaching that for like 34 years.
and if you follow those guides, like I lead a men's Bible study that meets every Monday night, and we use the Precept books, not to the depth that she uses when she's teaching at THQ, but each week it'll say, okay, read this chapter, look for these things, what do you get out of this? Now, or they might point you to some corroborating scripture. While you're at it, look at what this guy says, and it all, so it just really solidifies your thinking. Like, this is a very unified document, especially between Old Testament and New Testament, because we think, well, that's old, and this is new, so we really don't need to worry about the old anymore.
But it's like this.
But when you see how precisely the prophecies were of like Isaiah, and that talked about Jesus being wounded for our transgressions 400 or 500 years before he even came. It says, wow, this really is a unified document. And that's the kind of thing that the Precept studies emphasize. They want you to see the connections.
And that's what you did when you moved to Chicago. You did that
Yes.
for the territory.
Right, for the territory, right. So because I was doing it in Michigan, Eastern Michigan, but that was very limited because just half the state. But then people started hearing about it and inviting me outside of the state. And then I was like, oh my goodness, God, what am I going to do? Because I can only leave the state twice a year. And so then he opened the door for Chicago, for the territory. So now I have 11 states that I can go and teach. So I did that, with camps and conferences and just weekly Bible studies. I started one there in 2001
At THQ.
at THQ for employees who wanted to come to a lunchtime Bible study. And it was a 6-week trial. So that was in 2001. And tomorrow I'll be teaching Hebrews, continuation of that group. Yes.
You talked a little bit when you guys were the specials at the Corps.
Oh, right.
for
The Bible.
It was the
Bible
Bible
conference, sorry.
conference.
Well,
Bible conference.
this was fascinating to me that you both, how you work together. Because when you were talking about, you kind of just lit up when you were talking about how you do this. So I thought maybe you could talk a little bit about when you do something together as a couple.
Right.
How do you do that? Like, what roles do each of you take, and how?
It's really easy. I just let her do all the work.
Yeah, right.
preach, right?
That's right.
Right.
No, but she's very disciplined and focused on the subject and skilled in how to pull out the truths therein. And I'm reactionary.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll bring them together, we'll sing a song, and then I'll take notes as to what she's talking about right then and there, as somebody else is, as other people are doing. But then I'll sort of sum it up at the end of that session and say, I don't know about you, but this is what I got out of this, and why don't we finish with this song, which really speaks to that, just to tie it together musically.
Yeah.
So she did really all the sessions, which are Friday night and 2 on Saturday. And was that it? And then I spoke Sunday morning, but it just sort of pulled it all together, kind of thing.
Right.
I just think it's so. Bill, is good on his feet, and he can take that. He can take something and engage people in a different way, and then bring the music into it.
Right.
It makes it a wonderful combination of teaching, I would imagine.
But she provides the structure,
Yeah.
and then I
Right.
just follow it.
Right. And it's
About the structure, you said something started in 2000,
2001, a Bible study.
and now you're in Hebrews.
Okay.
The same group has been going that through the Bible?
We've been in Hebrews since 2001.
Oh my goodness.
No, we have not.
Sounds like Russell.
Golly.
Russell tries to read the Bible
Golly.
every year, and he never gets out of the Old Testament.
Okay,
So just
okay.
say-
Explain
No,
about
we
Russell.
started with Abraham. That was a 6-week study. So I was just testing the waters. And after Abraham, they said, well, what are we going to do next? And I said, how about Isaac? And so we just started following through. We followed the children of Israel from Abraham all the way through the Old Testament. And we just kept going. They just would say, what's next? What's next? And so we just kept going. And then we did like covenant, the topic of covenant, and we jumped into Matthew and a lot of the New Testament books. We did Revelation. But it was so helpful to just follow the children of Israel through their whole journey and get that picture as it unfolded, pretty much.
And with the addition of technology, it's
Yes.
really helped widen your
Right.
audience.
So
too.
now in 2020, when we could not meet in person and went on Zoom, then some people who had been in the class and retired and moved away came back on Zoom. So now we have we meet hybrid when I'm back in Chicago. We meet by hybrid, but we have 12 states and 2 countries that are meeting on Zoom, in addition to the little group that was started out in 2001.
In syllabus sense, are you looking at topics or are you looking at books? Or are you looking at, like if we had the next lesson, is it going to be everyone read chapter 7 or something?
It's basically books. We go through a book. So right now we're in part 3 of Hebrews. We've done part 1 and 2. So we're finishing this up in part 3. So we'll start in chapter 11 tomorrow. But then there's a couple of topics, kinsman redeemer, covenant.
I think about when you got married. I think about, obviously,
Covenant.
possession.
Yeah.
Right.
That is the word that
Right.
I will always associate with the two of you,
Yeah.
between horn parts and other things.
Right.
It's
Well, that was the thing too. The first time I ever taught covenant was a long time ago, and before I even thought about Bill or anybody else, but I knew that if I ever got married, it was going to be covenant, because that's what covenant is, So that's why covenant was really important to me in our marriage. So our whole wedding ceremony was all about covenant.
In fact, our wedding invitation, it was like a dictionary. It had cov, dash, and nent with the accent, and the dictionary definition.
Yeah.
You're invited to, it's like that.
Yeah, because I just feel so strongly about covenant being a picture of our salvation, but then also that's a marriage covenant. And I wrote it in his ring so he wouldn't forget.
one more thing. I'm sorry, but about the way you process through the children of Israel. In my growing up and learning Scripture, which I think we had a good understand. Well,
We had Gene Haas.
we were familiar with the Bible,
Why don't
but
you give us a good foundation?
I would say that never in my growing up life did I really have a good understanding of the children of Israel through the whole history.
Right.
And I'm now at a point where this is kind of how I'm approaching it at 72 years old, and actually trying to put these pieces together that I never put together before.
Right.
So what you're providing is so important to get an understanding of the whole scope of God in relationship with people, but also the Jewish people and their history.
Exactly.
It's
But you're right. It's so critical, really, to understand the
yeah,
whole picture.
the whole
It's
picture.
not like, and people will do just a little piece here and a little piece there, but you don't get the big picture and you don't
Right.
put the puzzle together.
Yeah.
And when we did all of the children of Israel, followed that all the way through, and then I taught Revelation, it was like, okay, I get this now. Looking back from Revelation to the whole Old Testament, and Daniel and all the fulfillment. But when you have the beginning and the middle and all of it together before you do the end, but yeah, to put it all in perspective, the children of Israel, and you understand God much better
yeah,
when you do that.
yeah.
Do you have a translation that you prefer?
I use mostly the New American Standard because
most
it's a word-for-word
literally, yeah.
translation. So when you're studying, you really need to have a word-for-word rather than a phrase-for-phrase, which it works, but the word-for-word is just
More
deeper.
accurate, yeah.
Just deeper, right? And now here's the thing, like I was saying goodbye to some couple yesterday, and they had been at the Bible conference, in February, and she said to me, the last thing she said to me is, "Kinsman Redeemer, I will always remember kinsman redeemer," because when you see that picture so clearly taught, she said, "I'll never forget it." So yeah, that's why I teach.
Those are just a few insights into Linda Himes, a person, as you can see, with a strong sense of conviction. That's the way Bill described her. And we've had a brief look at how they share their ministry. So, next time, a closer look at Bill. And though there is a well-established canonical list of official Bill Himes stories, we have a few probably non-apocryphal tales to share as well when we meet again as we are making our way. Thank you for your company today. Until next time.